All right, now the jury is now in deliberation for the DELPHI murder case with Richard Allen versus the state of Indiana. Guys, sorry I've been absent for a few days, but I've been celebrating like a motherfucker because goddamn it, MAGA, we did it again. Liberal tears taste so good. Anyways, guys, we're going to get into this. I'm going to give you an update on what I've missed a few days, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, when it comes to the DELPHI case. We're going to get into it because we should hopefully get a verdict tomorrow. I'm JB Gunner. This is Crime Time.
Bring it back.
Man, they try to say you shouldn't talk about politics on your crime channel. Man, you can suck my balls. You suck my balls, baby. America's back. Anyways, so I'll tell you who also may be back, and that's Richard Allen. He may be back home. We're going to be talking about that because we should know sometime. If we don't know tomorrow, hopefully we know Monday. But either way, we are at the climax of the Richard Allen trial. We're there. We're finished, guys. Before we get into the story, I want to first and foremost say thank you to everybody that supports the channel. Hell, any of my channels, regardless of platform, regardless of method you choose, whether it's Cash App, Patreon, Venmo, PayPal. Truth is, guys, I couldn't do this each and every day as often as I do on all these different channels for the last 18 years if it wasn't for you, the Gun Squad. I love you guys. Thank you very much. And if you too find my content valuable, feel free to hit the links, show some love, join the Gun Squad today. Man, good times these days, ain't it? By the way, you can also find the links to some other channels, including my politics channel. I'm sure a lot of you motherfuckers ain't going there. No, we'll stay here with our snack cakes. No. I get it. I understand. But anyway, I'm still going to say MAGA, bitch. Still going to say we won. Anyways, let's go ahead and get into the story. You can find the links to other channels down below. Guys, accused killer Richard Allen could face 130 years in prison as DELPHI murder jury begins deliberation. So there's no death penalty in this case, which is weird, right? Because I haven't heard him discuss death penalty in this case at all. You would think this would be a death penalty case. Indiana's a death penalty state, right? Jurors in Indiana have begun their deliberations in the trial of Richard Allen after Francis Goh handed the high-profile case over to the jury at 1:25 p.m. on Thursday. After 17 days of evidence, 60 witnesses, more than 300 exhibits. By the way, the Idaho 4 is going to have way more than that shit. Attorneys for the state and Allen's defense made their closing arguments through the morning. Allen, age 52, stands accused of the murders we all know that he's being accused of, guys. We pretty much know the way this shit works. I'm not going to sit here and go through all of this. We will go day by day and kind of catch up, starting on day 15, because I got a lot of shit to catch up on with you guys. Hopefully we can do it within a reasonable time, 45 minutes. But then we will be all set for the Richard Allen verdict. Now, I want to make some shit clear before we get into all this. Guys, I went back and forth with this case. My honest opinion when it comes to Richard Allen right now is I think he did it, but I don't think there's enough evidence. I cannot support convicting this guy because I don't believe he did it beyond a reasonable doubt. I believe the confessions mean he did it. And I know a lot of you guys are going to whine and cry and say, JB, you don't understand confessions. It can be bullied out of him. Shut your faggot ass up. All right? I get it. I understand. I don't need you to keep repeating it. It's not like I take your word into consideration anyway. You see what I'm saying? There's no reason to take the audience's word into consideration and develop my own opinion. But I will tell you this. I do think there's not enough to convict him. And you guys know me. I would rather see one innocent person. I'd rather see 10 innocent people walk. I mean, guilty people go walk than one innocent person go to jail. And at the end of the day, just because I believe Richard Allen did it does not believe that I think there's enough evidence to convict him in a court of law of doing it. There is no murder weapon. There is no DNA. There is no real motive. There's no real nothing. There's the confessions. I do not believe that the bullet is evidence at all. All we have is the confessions, which I choose to believe. If a motherfucker tells me he killed and wanted to rape some little chicks, I'm going to believe him because not too many people would say that. And I've been to prison. Most of you haven't. I've been to the very prison he was in. Most of you haven't. So when all of you are like, you don't understand what it's like in there, JP. Yes, I do. You don't understand what it's like in the whole solitary. Yes, I do. You people are the snack cakers, not me. You people are the ones that don't understand what it's like to be in jail. Or prison. I do. And I understand Westville Correctional Facility. I understand the one he was at after that, Wabash. You do not. So I do not. The opinions of sheep does not matter to wolves. I'll just say that. All right. Now let's get back to this. Now there's a couple of you I respect. I do respect Andrea Burkhart, but I'm just being honest here. A lot of you guys are just no-guilters on every case all the time. That makes you look foolish. It makes you look overly conspiratorial. Not everybody, Brian Kohlberger, Richard Allen, the Zodiac Killer, Ted Bundy, they're not all innocent. You got to at some point say, no, this motherfucker did it. And I personally believe this motherfucker did it. But however, I don't believe that he should go to jail because I don't believe there's enough evidence against him. I have a little bit of doubt, and that's good enough. That's good enough for this man to not spend the rest of his life in prison. That's the way I see it. All right, let's get back to this. All right, let's go ahead and start here. Here we go. Day 15. Let's see what we had on day 15.
Video shown to the jury in the Delphi murders trial.
That video depicting the suspect's time in prison. Richard Allen spent the last 2 years behind bars waiting for this trial that's now underway for the murders of two teens, Abby Williams and Libby German.
Our senior investigative reporter Bob Siegel and Samantha Johnson were in court today as those videos were played. So Bob, why don't you lead us off and tell us what you saw?
Sure. We'll let you know we are directly across the street right now from the Carroll County Courthouse, which is behind us. It's been raining here all day.
Well, thanks for letting us know, dickhead.
Courtroom today, the testimony so important for the defense. A neuropsychologist took the stand today to talk about Richard Allen's mental state while he was inside prison. Dr. Polly Westcott told jurors she met with Allen in prison to conduct a series of psychological exams on him. Based on those exams and reviewing prison videos and phone calls and medical reports, she determined Allen suffered from major depressive disorder and psychosis during the time period that he confessed to killing Abby and Libby. And she concluded he was not faking or exaggerating his mental health problems at the time that he confessed. That contradicts testimony.
I mean, how do you really know that, man? How do you really know that a motherfucker's not faking it? Some people can just be, what's the word I'm looking for? Convincing. I mean, don't get me wrong. If he was eating his shit, yeah, I mean, there's a good chance if he was eating his own shit that he'd lost it a little bit.
From some prison officials who said earlier in the trial that they thought Allen was making up his mental condition. And it counter the most damaging evidence against Allen so far, his recorded phone calls, confessions that the jury has already heard in which Allen confessed to the murders.
That's what convinces me.
Also today, jurors watched two videos that show Richard Allen inside his prison cell. Only jurors could see those videos, not the entire courtroom. A witness said they showed Allen eating his own feces and banging his head against the wall of his cell.
Yeah, fuck that.
Jurors were visibly upset. Some of them winced and repeatedly looked away as the video was shown.
Yo, I gotta say, this was genius, man, by the defense. This was genius. Because think about all the emotions that went in to after they saw the dead girls' bodies and all this. You know what I'm saying? But now they see some emotional shit from the other side. You know, if I'm sitting here and I'm a juror and I'm watching Richard Allen go crazy in his jail cell, eating his own shit and banging his head against the wall, I ain't gonna lie to you. I'd be like, well, what the fuck is going on in there? Well, especially if I didn't have any experience in there. I would be like, what the fuck is going on in there?
It's an effort by the defense to try to convince jurors that Allen's mental health was so deteriorated in prison that it drove him to make false confessions.
I'm not going to go that way.
The defense of showing the video simply to get sympathy from the jury and to turn Allen into the victim.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I was saying, but in a lot of ways that should work. It works.
And Sam, that was just the beginning of what was a very full day of testimony here.
Yeah, that's right. We heard from several more witnesses this afternoon. The afternoon session started around 1:30, and the first two witnesses who we heard from this afternoon were family members of Richard Allen. We want to show you some video here outside the courthouse. The first, his half-sister in the orange sweater you see here, his daughter in the gray long-sleeve shirt.
Is this bitch like colorblind? Ain't that pink?
The defense asked both of them in court this afternoon, quote, did Richard Allen ever molest you? Both answered no. Would you lie for him? The defense asked. Both answered no. The defense also asked his daughter, Brittany, quote, do you love your father? In which she replied, yes. Now, we both saw Brittany inside the courtroom today. She was visibly upset at times, tearing up several times. Seemed like she was trying to avoid eye contact inside that courtroom, too.
Well, yeah, she had to watch her dad eat shit.
Is actually the last one. His name is Brad Weber. He lives on the property right next to the crime scene.
Brad Weber steps up.
In court today, he told the jury his driveway goes underneath the Monon High Bridge. The defense got him to admit today in court that he told differing stories to police in the days following the girls' murders about.
I guess you gotta knock out that white van shit. Hold on, man. He looks like he would have done some shit like that. Richard Allen don't look like he a killer. That dude looked like he like I could see him in one of them houses in the movie Wrong Turn or some shit.
Whether or not he drove straight home after work that afternoon. And that's important because if he did, that would put his white van in the area of the Monon High Bridge around 2:30 p.m.
Damn, you're just doxing his vehicle and all kinds of shit?
The day the girls went missing. And that would match Richard Allen's alleged confession in prison that he said a van scared him at the crime scene that day. Now, Weber told the jury
he's trying to get away from the camera.
Several times.
He's trying to get away from the camera. Yo, I actually think Brian Weber did this shit. Now, I don't know. He looks like I'm kind of feeling a little funny in my tummy about this motherfucker.
Saying, quote, they searched my car and house. Another quote, he went on to say, I talked to a lot of people. Now, after that, this was at the very end of the day. I think this is important to mention. The defense showed Weber a photo of his own garage that they say they took on February 19th, just a few days after the girls went missing. We could not see that photo from where we were, but it was handed out to jurors. And the defense specifically pointed out what they called sticks in his garage on the day they captured that photo. At that point, the state stood up and said, asked the judge for a sidebar conversation, and that was really the last we heard of the defense today.
Oh, man, I was right. Okay. I mean, granted, come on, he's right there in that area. People collect sticks for fireplaces and shit. But bro, I don't know, man. I told you he looks goofy to me. Right, okay. I'm not gonna let that swear. Okay, so the white van thing, I'm not rolling with. I'm gonna go ahead and say, fuck that. You know what? I think it'll cancel each other out. Either way, I don't think there's enough here to convict Richard Allen. Even though I think he did it. Even though I'm not sure. I think that wrong turn looking motherfucker might have did it. I don't know now. I don't know.
We expect there are a few more witnesses for the defense. A lot of the witnesses that they plan to call, the judge has said they are not allowed to call. But we are expecting perhaps 2-3 more days of witnesses before this case could end up going to the jury. So again, day 15, lots of activity. We'll be back in court again tomorrow morning to continue bringing you coverage of this trial.
Shit.
We're live in Delphi. We'll send it back to the studio.
Hey, we're going to move on past this. Hold on.
All right, Bob, when you look at that list of witnesses, any chance that could be altered to include the defendant in the case, Richard Allen? Any chance the defense would put him up on the stand to say, I didn't do it?
Not a chance.
I don't think so, Ann. We've already heard there's been some evidence that was presented to the jury so far that would include some video and audio of Richard Allen, and the defense made it very clear that they were not going to enter that audio because if they did, it would open the door for Richard Allen to be cross-examined by the state. So
What?
I do not expect that we are going to have Richard Allen take the stand here in the final days of the trial.
That's wild.
All right, Bob Siegel and Samantha Johnson with our coverage and insight from inside the courtroom today. Thanks so much.
That is wild, guys. We're going to move on to day 16. Let's see what we had in day 16. We're going to use court. Should we use court TV for this recap? Yeah, let's check it out for a little bit.
Richard Allen, you child murderer! Why did you do it? Shame on you!
Shame on you. I can't stand that little motherfucker. Y'all know what I'm talking about. Shame on you, Richard Allen.
Shame on you, Richard!
Richard Allen, the
So
accused
cringy.
Delphi
So cringe.
killer, on trial as we speak. As you know, cameras have been banned from that courtroom, but you can't keep Court TV out. Joining us, Court TV's senior producer, Barbara McDonald, who is in Indiana, in that courtroom. So many things happening. Big day today, and a huge moment for the defense and some evidence. Explain it to us, Barbara.
Give it to us.
Yeah, this was definitely a mic drop moment today, Vinny. The defense called a former FBI forensic examiner who worked as an instructor for the FBI. She teaches at the college level. She examines computers and phones. And she says that when she examined the cell phone extraction from Liberty German's phone that was done by Indiana State Police, she found something in it that they didn't understand, and that information tells her that somebody plugged headphones into Liberty German's phone at 5:45 p.m. on the night of the murders and unplugged those headphones at 10:32 p.m. that night. She was asked why somebody might have done that.
Yo! Okay. Okay, you got me. Somebody had the phone. Somebody had the phone. There's no other way around it. Or maybe they didn't. Maybe they left the phone there. Maybe somebody put the headphones in so like the phone wouldn't ring and wouldn't. But why wouldn't they just turn the ringer off? That's strange, isn't it? I mean, obviously they would have shown if they were like watching YouTube or some shit. You know what I mean? What the fuck? This is a wild case.
And she said perhaps to silence the phone.
Yeah, that's what I was just thinking.
The family was frantically searching for the girls
Right.
at that hour.
Yeah.
Calling Libby's phone. This expert who testified today, Stacey Eldridge, said that just milliseconds before the headphones were plugged in, there was an incoming call. And she says that that is information that Indiana State Police had and did not understand. After she testified.
So that means, you know what that means? That means whoever did it used their headphones. Like, you know what I'm saying? We all typically got iPhones except for the broke people. Look, man. It sounds, well, I mean, I guess it doesn't really matter. And let me tell you something. It does log in when you plug headphones in. Like, you ever looked at the top of your little phone and it has a little headphone, like, symbol on it whenever you got headphones in? It does log when you put your headphones in. Shit, it logs when you connect to a Bluetooth or the wireless headphone. Do you see what I'm saying? Yo, whoever did it had to have went back there at 10:30 at night. And let me tell you something. There's only two people that could have done that comfortably. Ron Logan and you know what, man? I've always thought Ron Logan did it, but now I think that motherfucker that was on the witness stand. The Wrong Turn motherfucker. I think it was Ron Logan in Wrong Turn. I've changed my mind again. I don't think it was Richard Allen at all. Which still doesn't make any, I don't understand why he confessed. I want to know, look, you think Richard Allen went back there at 10 o'clock at night? Once again, where the cameras were at, where they would have caught his vehicle? The people that would have been able to get out there and get that shit covered up and get them headphones back out, that's Ron Logan and the Wrong Turn motherfucker. Yo.
The defense recalled Indiana State Police First Sergeant Christopher Cecil, who did that phone extraction, and he said, yes, he did not understand what that data meant when he did his analysis and wrote his report. But he said during the break...
How can you not know what that means?
Before his testimony...
I'm just some fat motherfucker at my desk, and I'm telling you, that means the headphones were plugged in and unplugged.
He Googled it and discovered that another explanation, rather than headphones, is that either water or dirt got in that phone jack on the phone. But he admitted that was not peer-reviewed information.
That's not likely.
It came about as a Google search in the courthouse. And of course, this is all significant information because the state's theory is that Richard Allen left that crime scene by 4 p.m. and did not return.
Right.
So if somebody is plugging...
So who plugged the thing in at 5:30? Who plugged the thing in at 5:30? Oh, man, Richard Allen, they got to let him go. They got to let him go.
Into Libby's phone at 5:45 and unplugging them at 10:32. That could not be Richard Allen. Vinny?
That's incredibly large.
Yeah.
Incredibly huge.
Yeah.
Plugging in and unplugging headphones on the victim's phone 5 hours apart. That's someone that must be in the area very close by.
Yes, Ron Logan.
Or someone that stayed
or who returned.
Or stayed there the whole time or
right.
went and then came back. Has there been any testimony from the defense about where Richard Allen was? Because they know all this testimony is coming up. Like the defense knows what their experts are going to say.
Right.
Have they established for this jury in any meaningful way Richard Allen's whereabouts from 5:45 to 10:32 that night? Like where he was?
Good question.
No, just that he went home after he walked the trails that day. Now, one of the witnesses who has not testified yet is his wife, Kathy Allen. She could be called. I spoke to her briefly in the courthouse yesterday, and she thought she was going to be called then. So she could very well be called and provide that information. We don't have that information, though, just yet.
Okay, let's talk about the expert who also testified today, talking about the solitary confinement of inmates, which again is another big issue relative to the confessions here.
Mm-hmm.
That's right. This was a very impressive psychiatrist. He Harvard trained. He's also got a law degree. He's got a medical degree from NYU. He lives in the Boston area. He's been practicing since, I think he said 1977. And his specialty is the psychiatric effects of confinement. And so he talked about solitary confinement and the behaviors that can present from somebody being exposed to solitary confinement.
They can.
He said that things like psychosis and delirium are very common. He talked about the UN standards, the United Nations standard, that anything above 15 days of solitary confinement is considered torture. He was not...
Yo, that can't be true, because people get a month in the hole in every prison in America. You know how many times I've got 30 days in the hole? Like, that can't be true. That can't be true. Maybe NATO standards or whatever. But look, I got to admit, though, that's a long time to be there. I'm starting to soften up on the idea. I still don't know, man. Eating your shit and confessing to murders you didn't do, that sounds wild. That sounds wild.
Not allowed to talk about Richard Allen specifically, but one of the jurors in this case are able to ask questions, and one of the jurors asked, could a completely normal person be psychotic after 6 to 12 months of solitary confinement. He said absolutely he has seen it. Vinny, we could see the end of the defense case tomorrow.
This is
All right,
getting
Barbara
wild.
McDonald in Indiana. We'll speak tomorrow. When we come back, I will reveal something else you need to know tonight.
All right, well, let me know. Hurry up. I'm a busy man.
Join Core TV's Vinny Politan with
come
the
on,
latest
come on,
and
dickhead.
breaking true crime stories.
Now, way chokehold.
Oh, that's a whole different thing. All right, let's get back. Let's get back to this. All right, guys, that is big news, right? Day 17. Let's get into day 17. See what we got.
Ultimately, it's 8 years later.
The defense rested the case by
Ultimately, it's 8 years later. I mean, we're here 8 years later. I never thought we'd be here today.
I want justice, really, at the end of the day.
Breaking news in the Delphi murders trial. The defense of Richard Allen has rested its case. That means soon, nearly
Closing
8
arguments.
years after the murders of Abby Williams and Libby German, a jury will start to decide the future of the man accused of killing them. CBS 4 has been covering this case from the very beginning. Our team has been inside the courtroom every day for the last 17
this
days.
case is being wild.
And our Russ McQuaid stepped out of the courtroom to let us know what's happening.
The defense in the Richard Allen double murder trial in Delphi rested at 9 o'clock this morning after calling its final witnesses yesterday, which included an expert to decry the evidence that was put forth by the state regarding a bullet that was found at the scene that the investigators say came from Richard Allen's gun, but also to highlight the challenge that Richard Allen had in solitary confinement inside of a state prison when he supposedly slipped into psychosis and began confessing to the murders of Abby Williams and Libby German near the Monon High Bridge in February of 2017. At this hour, inside the third floor courtroom at the Carroll County Courthouse, jurors are hearing from rebuttal state witnesses, that is, people who are testifying about Richard Allen's incarceration while he was awaiting trial inside the maximum security facility at the Wabash correctional facility in Westville when he was in solitary confinement, developed mental illness, and confessed to those killings. Also from a young woman who said she saw a man walking on the Mile High Bridge trail the afternoon the girls were killed, and also bringing in Trooper Brian Harshman. He listened to more than 700 phone calls from inside of prison between Allen and his wife as he confessed to her about the killings. We expect this afternoon that the jurors, from what we are learning from inside that courtroom, the jurors will get the afternoon off as attorneys for both sides review their closing arguments and Special Judge Fran Gull's jury instructions. They will go over those today, which would include also an instruction on what constitutes reasonable doubt as the jury looks at all the evidence and testimony in this case. We are expecting the closing arguments will take place Thursday morning and perhaps may last up to 2.5 hours per team. In Delphi, Russ McQuaid, CBS 4 News.
All right.
CBS 4 will bring you updates on the
Son of a bitch. And then it went essentially to day 18. We had our closing arguments. I believe, on day 18. Jury is given instructions. Final prosecution rebuttal. Things of this. Defense has completed its closing argument. Basically 4 main themes: broken timeline, bumbled ballistics, false confessions, digital forensics, clearly showing issues. Guys, I have to be honest here. I this whole case has been so wild. It's been so fucking wild. Day 18.
News. And right now at 5 o'clock, we are following breaking news. The jury has left the Carroll County Courthouse for the night without reaching a verdict in the Delphi murders trial. The jury deliberated for just a couple of hours today.
They came hours after closing arguments from both sides. Let's get you right to team coverage tonight. We start with ITMate's Kyla Russell.
Yeah, so after 18 long days, today at exactly 1:25 this afternoon, the jury stood straight up. They gathered evidence from over 3 weeks of testimony and left the courtroom. The next time they enter may very well be to deliver a verdict. The day started with 58 minutes of closing arguments from Carroll County prosecutor Nick McClelland, the man trying to convince jurors that Richard Allen murdered Abby and Libby. The prosecution focused on 3 main things: bridge guy, an unspent bullet, and Allen's reported confessions.
That's not good enough. Bridge guy, there's no way to prove that was Richard Allen. Unspent bullet, I don't believe the ballistics at all, and I don't believe it's even relevant. And then Allen's reported confessions. Now, that is the strongest part of this case. This takes me back to, like, at Idaho 4. Like, the strongest and only evidence, in my opinion, that the prosecution has in Idaho 4 is a very weak touch DNA. Here, the only evidence that they have is his confessions. I just don't know. I don't think this is enough to convict somebody beyond a reasonable doubt.
While in prison, McClelland again showed the jury an audio-enhanced bridge guy video taken by Libby moments before the girls died. Bridge guy orders the girls down the hill, and Libby said that'd be a gun. He reminded the jury of the many witnesses who say they saw Bridge guy that day. The state again laid out their timeline, leading to Allen's arrest, and noted what they call incriminating items found inside Allen's home just before his arrest in 2022, 5.5 years after the deaths. Inside the house, McClelland said they found a bridge guy starter kit, complete with a handgun they say matched an unspent round found between the girls.
Bridge guy
Allen's
starter
prison
kit.
confessions are another linchpin in their argument. He played the calls again, noting when Allen told his wife, "I did it. Just know I did it." He also told the jurors Libby once said she wanted to help the police solve crimes. That's exactly what she did. Defense attorney Brad Rosie also acknowledged the loss. He said Richard Allen's life was ruined too. He showed the jury graphic photos of Allen inside of Westville, covered in feces, and pictures of medieval torture tools. He told the jury if they convict Allen, they would be endorsing that behavior.
Medieval
he said the
torture
defense's
tools.
case for his
Yeah.
innocence was easy to make, as it centered on the state's clumsy investigation. Time and time again,
got a valid point.
Rosie said Allen's defense team had to do the job of investigators. The defense cited missing interviews, a years-long delay in DNA testing, changing timelines, and shoddy firearm toolkit science as reasons the investigation fell short.
Agreed.
He again noted there is no DNA evidence or digital evidence to tie Richard Allen to the scene, and he ended with a clear message to the jury: you must find Allen innocent.
I agree.
Now, the jury will again begin deliberating tomorrow at 9 a.m. They'll typically have until about 4 p.m. each afternoon, unless they tell the bailiff they need more time. Also, the alternate jurors will be in the room, but they will not help with deliberations. Reporting here in Delphi, I'm Kyla Russell for Wish TV. WishTV.com, or follow us on Facebook for updates.
We continue our team coverage tonight with IT8's Cody Fisher. He's been monitoring the energy outside of the courthouse as that jury deliberates. Cody, what's it like there right now?
Right now, there's a lot of anticipation amongst the people who are outside of the courthouse, and with that anticipation, there's also tension as people vie to be in the room when the jury reads their verdict.
I knew it was going to be intense, but I didn't know it was going to be this intense.
Julie Melvin has gone to 10 days of the trial. With the jury now deliberating, she's adamant about being in the courtroom when the verdict is read.
This is going to be Hunger Games to try to get in.
These chairs represent the line to get in for Friday.
Damn.
Julie's spot is number 2 at the cost of $500 a day.
I've been paying my daughter and her boyfriend every single day to come and stand in line.
Others are doing the same or sitting outside all night long.
It's worth it for me because I am a believer in justice.
She wants the outcome of the trial to shift the energy in the community.
A lot of people have created tensions with total strangers through this case. I just want to see just peace and healing for everyone.
Now, only time will tell if this coming verdict will bring
wild,
peace to
ain't
the
it?
community or more tension. For IT8, I'm Cody Fisher for Wish TV, WishTV.com, and remember, follow us on Facebook for updates.
All right, Cody, thank you very much. Let's go ahead and bring in Mario Masalamani now. You may recognize him as a member of our All Indiana Politics team, but he's also a noted criminal defense attorney and joins us now to talk about this case. Mario, good to see you again. Walk us through the process now that the jury has the case.
Man, we all know how juries work, motherfucker. All right, we got day 19, which this was their deliberation. They've already left, They only left after a couple hours. I don't think there's going to, I don't know why this is 8 minutes long. We're going to start, we'll check it for a second.
Network, this is breaking news.
Right now at 5, we are following breaking news in the Delphi murders trial. Signs pop up outside the Carroll County Courthouse as people
so we're
wait
not
to hear
gullible.
the fate of
Look
Richard
at all
Allen.
those.
The jury left the courthouse for the night without reaching a verdict in the second day of deliberations.
We broke that news right here on Wish TV.
Look at that. Look at all those signs. Justice for Libby, Abby, and Rick. Whoa, wow.
About an hour ago. Let's get you right to team coverage tonight. We start with iTeammates Kyla Russell. Kyla.
Yeah, so the jury has now deliberated for a total of 9 hours. 7 hours today and 2 hours yesterday. Now, they arrived today shortly before 9 a.m. and I watched as their vans began coming into the Carroll County Courthouse here. And you know, we saw police change the way that they would leave, hoping that they do not see anyone in the public in the process. Now, they have over 3 weeks of witnesses and testimony to review. A total of 64 witnesses and 378 pieces of evidence. They will comb through it all to decide if Richard Allen is guilty of murdering Abby Williams and Libby German in February of 2017. All of them must agree. The 3 alternate jurors are in the room for deliberations, but not participating in conversation. The jury was given the option to review photo, video, and audio evidence inside the courtroom if they need. It can all be played only one time. Now, they did not ask to review evidence today, and they will be back tomorrow at 10 a.m. to continue discussing. They will not have any deliberation on Sunday, but will be back on Monday and in the following days if needed. Reporting here in Delphi, I'm Kyla Russell for Wish TV. WishTV.com or follow us on Facebook for updates.
Kyla, thank you. We do continue our team coverage with iTeam8's Cody Fisher. He is monitoring the emotions outside of the courthouse as that jury deliberates. Cody, what is it like out there right now?
Well, Dakari, there are more people outside of the courthouse today compared to yesterday, and everyone eagerly awaiting the decision from the jury.
Yeah. I can
Dozens
imagine.
of signs lay on the concrete wall outside of the courthouse.
Yeah,
Some are calling for justice for Abby and Libby. Others support Richard Allen. The mix of signs represents the mix of opinions about the case amongst the crowd.
I think they are trying to fit a square peg into a round hole. My mom has always taught me to stand up for what I thought was right from the time I was little, and I'm standing up for what I believe is right. I want justice for Abby and Libby. Rick is not it.
I do think that he is guilty. I just don't think that there was enough definitive evidence, unfortunately. I think it might be a mistrial or a hung jury.
While we wait, the possibilities of what happens after the verdict are running through people's minds.
There's just so many questions that we don't have answers to still.
Yeah, I don't want to hear all these bitches and all that, what they got to say. Listen. Okay, this is it. I've changed my position. I don't think he's guilty, and I don't think they're going to find him guilty. That's I believe, my final statement on the Delphi case is I feel like Ron Logan, and what was that dude's name? The wrong turn man? You know what I'm talking about. What was his name? Hold on, let me look real quick. What was that cocksucker's name? The little strange-looking dude? Brad Weber. I think Ron Logan or Brad Weber or both of them together did it. I do. Because somebody had to be close to where they could come back and unplug the headphones. Look, man, I don't think Richard Allen did it, and I think he will be found not guilty. I don't believe I stand corrected. Maybe he did go crazy, and that's why he confessed. I stand corrected. I just don't, for some reason, the minute I saw Brad Weber and saw what he looked like and then heard about the headphones, that's it. That's it. Ladies and gentlemen, let me know what you guys think. Guilty or not guilty? I say not guilty. If you like what I do here, you find my content valuable, feel free to hit the links down below. Show your boys some love. Join the gun squad today. We only got one Richard Allen. Well, we may have two if he gets found. This is it. The Delphi case is over. My final verdict is not guilty. Let me know what you think.